Welcome along, everyone. It's Justin Dawson from the All Things TechIE Podcast. We are at the Fira in Barcelona.
Fira Gran Via.
Fira Gran Via, because there is actually two Firas, and if you make that mistake and go to the wrong one, yeah, that's never happened, David, has it?
Well, a taxi almost took me to the wrong one yesterday.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Dave Danto joins me from Talking Points as well. David, it's only a month ago since we were
At CES.
At CES in Vegas.
You're on the trade show circuit.
I know. Honest to God, it's like I think March and April. I better stay at home or else I'm divorced.
Well, I've got Enterprise Connect in March and NAB in April, and then Infocom and just all kinds of stuff. But in May, I am going to go see the glaciers before they melt, so that's a good thing.
when does the wife actually get some time with you?
The glacier strip.
Glacier strip. Okay.
You know, the interesting thing, I've been married for, this has nothing to do with anything we need to talk about. I've been married for 35 years, and I used to invite her on business trips, and we would do the business and pleasure stuff. Now when I say, do you want to go to Barcelona? She says, nah, I'm too busy. Nah. She only wants to go to places she hasn't been before.
Okay, that's fair enough. And then that's why you go to Vegas, like, how many times a year?
Oh, don't even talk about it.
6 or 7 times.
Too much.
We're at ISC 2026. I only got in this morning, so 4:30 in the morning start, and that's why I've been keeping my voice till 4 p.m. today to talk with David. You've been in for the past couple of days.
Yeah, I'm a cheap bastard, excuse me. I'm a cheapskate. I only fly in on Friday night, Saturday morning, so I can get the Saturday night stay, so it lowers the airfare. So I stay here for a day to acclimate, and then Sunday and Monday I sneak in onto the trade show floor and see what's going on and get myself used to what's happening. Now,
we have to dive straight in there and go, is there anything really fun that you have seen?
Yeah, this is interesting. We've been talking at trade shows for like the last 3 or 4 years about how they're evolutionary, like little incremental changes, nothing really big. I think this year this kind of breaks the mold here at ISC. There's some really interesting changes both in technology and in the way we're dealing with it. One of them is, the Enterprise Connect is going to be a new show this year. The format's changing, and Microsoft is not going to be part of it. Microsoft made a big splash here. They're starting to make this one of their most important show, for Teams and collaboration, and Teams is growing like gangbusters. So there's a lot of Microsoft happening here. We have a couple of audio manufacturers that had been, kings of their market or at the top that are now really breaking into the video space in a big way, and I think that's a really very big deal. A couple of the companies that are doing AI management and monitoring have got some really interesting prototypes coming out here. I think we're really on the edge of some very fascinating changes.
I think the one that I'm going to dive right in there is Shure with their new video bar. Now, you just say to yourself, not another video bar, but honestly, because I know that this has been 2.5 years in the making, they really have tuned this up from the time where I can actually say this now, the NDA that I seen 2.5 years ago of like, we're bringing out a video bar. Really? You're bringing out a video bar? Oh no, please don't. But this has 4 4K cameras tuned in, and the expansion range on the back of this is phenomenal.
It's doing some cross shooting, yeah. The interesting thing is, I won't really comment on how good or how bad a video bar is until I've actually had it on my bench, because I've really, really been very impressed with some new entrants in the space, and then I put them on my bench, and really, that's the shot it makes, really?
Yeah.
It's like, so I don't want to be burned by that, but I know Shure, and I know the quality they represent, and I happen to know the manufacturer that Shure went to have the bar built, and I know they can build really good quality products. So, I'm really looking forward to it. I especially like the idea that the cameras are far enough apart so that it can actually essentially cross shoot a little bit on a table and get some nice shots. That's an interesting concept.
Now, as you mentioned, very much teamed up with Microsoft Teams at the moment. We'll just say use the word at the moment, wink, because there has to be more on the horizon there with Shure on that.
Well, their IntelliMix audio systems are Teams partners. They were very early on to join into the MDEP program, which is, MDEP is everywhere now. The Microsoft Device Ecosystem Platform, if that's not an acronym that people are familiar with. The dynamic is changing. Microsoft certainly has the majority of collaboration platforms out there. Zoom had a really big presence. Zoom still makes the highest quality product out there, but they're losing market share. They're losing to Microsoft because of how big Microsoft is growing. They're losing market share to Google, and I kind of blame Teams more than I blame Google for that one. Google's improved the product, but Zoom has told everybody that they're not a video company anymore. They're an AI company, and that's turned a lot of people in our industry off.
Yeah. Now, when we go into AI, like we've seen so much of it at CES.
It just kind of blends into the noise floor.
Well, this is it. In previous years of ISE, we've heard that buzzword floating around a lot. I've walked the floors today. You don't feel that people are trying to shove it down your throat as much as previous.
Correct. It's not as prevalent out there.
Yeah. But one company that I seen at CES, and I wasn't aware that they are actually displaying here this year. Have you come across SkyTed, the headphones, which is so they are made for privacy functions, and you can actually whisper into the mic. The AI, I'm using that word, is pumping up the volume and taking out the noise reduction of it. Yeah, I wasn't aware that they were appearing here. So if anyone's coming to ISE, please do go by that.
I have to stop by and take a look at it. I've actually got a video out online, and if you want, I'll send you a link to it, because I've had so many people give me a hard time about that. I'm not a big fan of generative AI in general. I think there's a lot of funny money and other weird things going around in the industry. But what they're doing with AI audio algorithms right now is phenomenal. And I just did a video where I took my iPhone and I put it in the corner of the room facing away, went 10 feet away, kept it recording and just did a recording. And when you play it back, it sounds terrible.
Yes.
And then I ran it through a couple of AI algorithms and played the same thing back again, and it sounded like I was talking into a hand microphone.
Yeah.
And I've had people comment online that didn't listen to the video that said it couldn't possibly sound that good. It's like it does. Yeah. So audio processing, audio algorithms are amazing, and how much longer will we need complicated ceiling microphones or complicated any microphones when the AI is that good? So I believe it.
You were at a couple of conferences pre-ISE. You went to Nureva. They've been forming microphones Nureva in the past. Like we've talked with them last year at ISE, but they're continuing to model this whole approach of any space with one bar, and you can.
Yeah. Now, Nancy will give me a hard time if I say this wrong, because she has in the past. Nancy Knowlton, who's one of the founders of the company, brilliant lady. They don't use AI. They have a technology that they call microwave mist. It's more like an RF field technology. But by putting one large microphone on a wall, they're able to pinpoint XY patterns throughout the room and create virtual microphones in each space. Now, if they can do what they've been promising they're going to do and combine that with a loudspeaker system where they can do voice lift in a room without having to zone. Yes. Walk into the room, put up speakers, microphones against the wall and the ceiling, press a button, and you're done. That'll be transformative for our industry. Now, they demoed an early prototype yesterday, and it sounded good, but they're just not there yet with all the various zones. They don't have it. But what they did do, and they weren't bragging about enough, and I told them they need to change that, is they happen to have had a couple of handheld wireless microphones in the room.
And there was no feedback.
They were walking all around the room, including they took when I mentioned it, he picked up the phone and he sort of like used it like a razor in front of the speaker. No feedback, no howl, no interference. So they're already able to manage that balance in the room. I don't doubt that they'll be able to do the zones for voice lift, and that's a game changer. Why would you need to do all that programming and zoning if you could do that by mounting it on the wall and pressing a button?
And Rob has been over in our university as well, flown over from Canada, and he's seen some of the. And I always say, if you want to test out something properly, go to a higher ed university where they haven't touched the room in 20 years, and then you can find problems with voice lift. Yeah,
that was one of the problems with the event that they did last night that you missed, because they did it in a beautifully acoustic sounding room, so you couldn't tell the rooms. They almost didn't need microphones in it. It was really nice. But I have a lot of faith that around Infocom time we're going to start seeing that product installed in places, and it's going to be game changing for our industry.
Is there any other fun things that you've come across? Like you haven't got around all the halls yet.
No, not at all. I barely made it into hall 3 once. So I've done 1, 2, and part of 3, and I still haven't gone to the innovation areas, which is always a worthwhile
innovation.
thing to go to.
It's always the worthwhile place at ISE, because you have to see some of the. We always told that don't go straight down the middle of hall 3 and 4, because you see your Samsungs, you see your LGs, you see the big. You find the innovative stuff in the corner of the halls where something new has come out.
Well, I'll tell you something that I did see in Hall 2 that I think was very interesting, and the way they phrased it and put it together was very interesting. Cisco came out with about 5 or 6 new products at the show that they've announced this year. Their G2, they call it, the Generation 2 of their room kit. So they have like a big multi input output device that you would have in rooms, and they came out with the Desk Pro G2. The Desk Pro is a 27-inch desktop appliance, and this is the new version of it. It looks very much like the old version, same size, everything else, but it's got 2 cameras on the front, right in part. Now, right now, one camera does more of a close-up, and the other camera does more of a wide shot, so that you can get more of like a huddle room space or a use space like that. But 2 cameras, think about that. What are they doing with 2 cameras that far apart? They're obviously preparing themselves for spatial recording for 3D at some point.
Very good,
and you've got companies that shall be nameless that are talking about, spending $30,000-$40,000 on these huge devices that you'll have to install and pay licensing on in order to see a 3D image. And then you walk over to the Cisco booth, and their standard desktop product is going to be able to produce that. All you need is a lenticular display, and you've got it. Who's going to pay that X thousands of dollars euros for licensing this monster?
Well, thank God we've got away from the 3D goggles, and we might touch into VR now in a couple of minutes' time. But while on the topic of 3D, and Sony told me that this was there last year, and probably at Infocom as well. Sony have a 3D model as well. Now, the name escapes me. I will put it in the show notes afterwards. But 2 cameras on the side of each of the monitors, and
for eye tracking.
Yes. But what I noticed was if you step too far away, it loses, or if someone walks behind you. But they're trying to design this for museum purposes. But I also said that's a great example, and to send me a couple of case studies of universities and nursing schools and medical schools for turning the body around.
If we take a minute around 3D, 3D TVs at home as a consumer product didn't work because nobody wants to put on glasses when they're watching television. Even glasses wearers don't want to put on. So what you have to get 3D without glasses is what's called a lenticular screen. It's a screen that does. Now, the Sony product and a few of the other products, I think it's either Acer or Asus, I forget which one, has a notebook that's like that with a lenticular screen. The problem with all those products is they're meant for one person. So people are worried about scale. How can I produce this product if it's only really good for one person? Why I really like the direction that Cisco's going in is because instead of saying, this is amazing, you need to buy it and pay for it, I think they're envisioning it at some point in the future as being a product that if you've got the lenticular screen, you get 3D. And if you don't have the lenticular screen, you get 2D. And it's just an extra added feature, and it's not something that's very expensive. And I think we're on the precipice of seeing something like that.
Well, between that, and I did see, and again, in the corner booth at CES, there was a company that was, now, I'm trying to remember, was it Eureka Park? But they were working on an LED, right? And depending on what angle you stood at, you were seeing
a different
picture.
Right, I've seen that. That's called the husband and wife TV, where 2 people could be watching the same thing, 2 different shows with different polarized glasses.
And then we need the Bluetooth headphones but that would work perfectly for myself and Jen, because the 2 of us don't have any interest in the same programs.
That's why they called it the husband and wife. But like I said, going back to a couple of minutes ago, we're on the precipice of some revolutionary stuff, not just little incremental. Now we're a little bit better, we're a little bit brighter, we're a little bit sharper. We're definitely, if we've got desktop products coming out with 2 cameras, somebody knows something about the fact that we're going to be needing that stereo capability in visual, that spatial video.
Now, before ISE, and you even wrote a great article on it. VR is dead, long live VR type of approach. And do you know what? Testing it in a university capacity, I have to agree with you, Dave. We don't disagree on many things, but you know, it's the fact that as we go back to, people don't like wearing goggles, and with Meta dropping a lot of staff now, are they? Now we both were at CES. Are they going down the approach now that the wearables is the future?
You know, I want to be very clear when I say this because I've had this argument with a lot of other analysts as well. I don't think there's no use case for virtual reality and augmented reality. I think there's no public use case. There's no widespread. If a global pandemic that forced us to stay at home couldn't get us to put these things on and ride roller coasters in the house, nothing will. But if I'm a doctor doing surgery, or if I'm walking into a building and need to know where the studs are in the walls, or if I want to, you know, there's one use case that I know of that somebody is doing time travel. Like if you walk back to a historical site, you put on the glasses and you can see what it was like eons ago or something like that. You know, I think those are great use cases for it, but it's never going to be a mass market product.
No. But is that the way Meta is going? Do you think with the
No, Meta has completely pivoted away from that. They've closed down the collaboration piece of what they wanted to do, the meeting. I forget what it was called.
The metaverse.
Yeah. Well, no. Well, they've closed the metaverse anyway. The metaverse is dead. But they're everybody's pivoting now over to AI. They're not even bothering with that. You know, what Meta is doing with the simple glasses that record and take pictures is much better than what they were doing with VR. So maybe they've got a chance with that. Now,
one other product that I really liked, and again for bring your own device, Wolf Vision have come out with a new sign up. Now, I know they at one stage were testing out the ends of the video bar, but this is just bring your own device. Their sign ups and their sign up pures. This is going to be a smaller device, but now it does dual screens, and you can have up to 2 grids of 4, so 8 sources on this new sign up, and I think there's a couple of new products on the way in the second part of the year as well with their sign up range. So yeah,
I haven't seen it yet. I'll have to go take a look at it. They've had a significant marketing problem in the U.S. where I am, where they didn't really understand the market. They didn't understand how to provide for the market. They were priced wrong. So I'm not sure if they can correct those problems. But obviously, you know, in education, it's a very big space for them. Certainly in the visualizer line and some.
And the courtrooms is massive, because if you can do 8 different sources and you can split it up to who sees it, judge and jury versus defense and
You should also make sure you take a look at Logitech, because they've now come out with some new rally cameras that are both PTZ and ePTC, analog and digital. And the ePTC part they can mount in wall, so it doesn't stick out anymore, which is really interesting.
And doing a lot for the hybrid classroom as well environment. I do need to get over to Logitech at some point as well. Now, a different vibe this year to ISE, less after parties, less happy. Maybe a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. This is, you know, I like Barcelona. I love some of the places when I've toured it with my wife. For conferences, this is not the easiest city in the world. You know, when you get on that taxi line at 6 or 7 o'clock at night,
it is
you know,
busy.
that's an hour and a half wait, and the trains are not as easy to move around in as you would. So, you know, I do miss Amsterdam a little bit because of that. Each city has its own quality and beautiful flavors. It's also, you know, I'm not a spicy food eater. So it's a little hard. Sorry, that's my wife.
That's fine.
It's a little hard to have just, you know, plain normal bland food while I'm here. So I put up with it for a week. So less after parties is a good thing for me.
Yeah. Now, what is there any other areas where you're really looking forward to seeing or are you attending any of the talks or?
I've actually I was attending the GPA session today, where we had a really nice chat with Ilya Bookstein from Microsoft, and went through some of that. I'll probably attend some of the other sessions as well. It's nothing hugely that I'm looking forward to. I'm like you when we were both at CES, where I'm trying to kind of put my fingers on what the vibe is for the show. I want to identify the products that I think are really going to be standouts, because, you know, we were 5 halls, 8 halls, 16 halls. I don't know how many halls there are. So you want to find the things that are really worth you stopping at and taking the time to go to, and what's changing those trends. And the trends we talked about, specifically MDEP and, the video bars and some of the other things, those I think are actually really powerful. And I've still got some appointments that I have to make with those and see what we're doing. And I haven't been to the Neat booth yet. I want to see what's going on with them.
Well, I think even as you walk around Hall 3 and you're looking at the LEDs, it's more the fact that designing for any type of environment, because we're getting away from the projectors.
Oh, far.
Oh, doesn't it feel that a lot of the projector companies aren't really trying to push new projectors and lumens and... No,
they're aware of that. I mean, when Christie came out with the first microtiles, it was sort of like the beginning of the end for a lot of projection. And, when projection went lampless, and projection mapping has done some really interesting things that certainly still have a use. Mm-hmm. But, I think people are looking at DVLED as a game changer. I lived from CRTs to plasma. I lived from plasma to
Showing his
LCD.
age.
And I tried to say 2 years ago to everybody that, look at DVLED. It's another one of those inflection pivot points. Nobody really paid attention, and now look at where we are. That's pretty much what everybody's showing.
Mm-hmm. Between
Chip
that,
on board.
Yeah, and the fact that it's become so transparent now that you can put these LEDs in any type of situation. We've seen the rollables over at CES. Yes. We're seeing the foldables at CES as well. Going back to what we do, podcasts and microphones and our own kit. Is there anything out there that you go, wow, I really want to get my hands on one of them, even for your home studio?
Well, again, where I was talking before about good AI and bad AI, or at least AI that I don't really pay attention to, the fact that what's happening in here with a very, very competent crew, there are a couple of people out there, Barco specifically, that are showing a system that you just plug the cameras and the inputs into it, and it does it all by itself.
Yeah.
It'll mechanically move a pan-tilt zoom camera to keep a shot in place, and when it can't mechanically move it, it'll electronically move it, and it's switching, and it can handle both show control and live and remote. So, I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. Where again, the it's not operatorless. It's you can't be an operator managing 12 cameras, but maybe now you can be an operator that can manage 12 cameras. And you're just sort of supervising it.
Yes, yeah. and we have a great production team here behind us, so we don't want to knock that idea. Yeah. With ISC, of course, you do have your tech tours. I think a couple of them are being done around the universities this year again at Barcelona. New to ISC this year, they're doing drones above Zafira. I don't know, did you get
I didn't see the drones. I did see the projection mapping again on Casa Patillo, which is always very pretty, and that's a pretty place as long as you've never had to walk all the way up to the top and then down through the bottom again. But the architecture is beautiful. So I like that they incorporate parts of the city. But the ISC is one of those shows, same as CES was that we were at, where it's too big to see the whole show. Mm-hmm. So people get out of it what they want to get out of it. Some people go to the sessions. Some people are just on the show floor. Some people walk around the city and look at some of the demonstrations. So 2-3 different people can be seeing the show and seeing completely different things.
Now you're over till Friday as well.
Or I leave on Friday.
Yes, yeah. So plenty of time. By the time you've watched this program, but if we do get it out early, there is a couple of different places to get the hidden swag.
Okay.
Biamp, because they were with Clear, they
bought the Clear one. Right?
Yes, they are giving away webcams like as if they are peanuts. They are giving away the clear one, and a decent 1080p webcam if you need a webcam on your computer. So go by Biamp and say hello. Don't tell them that Justin sent you, because I've get into trouble on that. Yeah, that's one that everyone seems to be popping by. Okay. Apparently they have hundreds of them to give away. So you haven't come across any interesting swag yet?
I really haven't. A couple of the vendors that I work with as clients gave me some of their clothing, which I really appreciate. I get to walk around, wearing some of that, but then I don't because I don't want to offend the people that aren't those vendors.
Are we safe to talk about Jabra yet?
We can talk about what Jabra has done,
Yes.
and I'm not sure. They're an interesting organization. They just had come out with those new headsets
that we've seen
at CES. We got Haley gave us a preview of that, but now they have two new things. They have their crew working with their Panacast camera, so it's a combination of joint venture of Hudley and Jabra, and then they now have a new version of the Panacast bar. I think it was the Panacast 55 BBS, which is their next generation product, and they came out with a puck that would be the external audio piece from that.
Yes.
So that it goes further into a larger room, and it's not the same as one of their Jabra microphone pods, but it's kind of patterned like that.
Because again, when you're working in higher ed, you need a setup for all different scenarios.
Yes. So they're certainly a company to keep an eye on. Although it's interesting because their strategy is sort of changing. Hudley's another company to keep an eye on with some of what they're doing with the crew concept. I'm glad that they're now going with a partner for Jabra. So that means they're probably not going to get into the Android space. They're just going to stick with their cameras. Owl Labs is another company to keep an eye on. They've got some very interesting products that they're playing with. Both on the show floor and to be released at a later point. So I think the space and also you should take, if you're not familiar with them, you should take a look at Audio Codes, because Audio Codes has some really fascinating capabilities, Teams only. But they're doing some really interesting things with Microsoft Teams, especially for governments and universities that have issues. They have a phone they just came out with, which has a silent alarm button, which is a requirement for legal requirement in the U.S. that in case there's emergency safety, you can press a button and it'll activate something. And it also has a mechanical kill switch. A lot of people are very afraid that phones are being tapped or bugged or into, and this is a phone where neither the speaker, the built-in microphone, or the handset microphone will activate unless you physically remove the handset from the device.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a plate type of thing that it sits on.
Exactly. Right. So for government use, I mean, that's really exciting. And then Cisco has a new Wi-Fi phone for, first responders and hospitals.
Because it's interesting you say that. Like, America might be getting away with doing that. I remember, and I won't name the company, but I had to spec with a colleague on a privacy room, and we weren't allowed because the communications regulator just said, you have to be able to contact emergency services, and so they wouldn't allow us to build.
Following the geopolitical storms that are going on around the world is almost impossible, but it's good to see that there are companies that are trying to adapt to work with that and come up with some features that'll make it work. So those are two examples.
Interesting, like if it's on a plate and it's just like...
Well, it's even just the handset of the phone. If you haven't lifted the handset from the phone, there is no microphone activated on the phone. No one could be tapping into it.
Oh, wow.
So go back. You want to talk about dating myself, go look at a movie called The Conversation with Gene Hackman, probably, oh my God, 60 years ago, something like that. Anyway.
But haven't we really caught up with everything from Back from the Future and... the future and everything.
Hackers are getting smarter, so we have to get smarter too.
But like we have created all the type of technology that we have seen in movies. What's going to be the next innovative thing?
Any good technology is indistinguishable from magic. Look, you and I saw transparent OLED.
Yeah.
We saw video in a piece of glass, a window that we were looking through. If we didn't know what that was, if we hadn't been gradually introduced to that, we would think that's magic. Where's the projector? Where's the screen? How's it working?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Dave. Like, we go to these conferences and we're trying to pick apart, like, where is everything hidden? Where's the wires and so forth? And is this actually going to catch on? It's like what you actually said to me over at CES, that a lot of these innovative companies might not be around in a year's time, but...
And think about it, if you've got companies like, again, I'll use Cisco as an example, where the microphones connect via IP and the cameras connect via IP PoE, and everyth's going over Cat6 or some type of category cable.
What happens when the network goes down?
Well, even if it's not on the network, even if it's just direct connect over Cat6, look at all the companies that are making... USB to HDMI to, all these little adapters. Well, we need these adapters anymore.
Do. Well, do we not?
they may go away if everything's connected with a Cat6 cable.
Yes.
What else will we need? So it's an interesting thing.
Is it going to be the race? Oh God, we're gone down this rabbit hole. Is it going to be the race between Cat6 and USB-C, or is there going to be something else?
I think USB-C has won the peripheral wars, especially if you look at Barco's new ClickShare hub, where they have their advanced button. And when you plug their button in, if the USB port is allowing you to use USB, then it works like a ClickShare. And if the USB port is locked down and not allowing you, it recognizes it as the display port, and it works anyway.
Yes.
So so USB-C has won that space. The connectivity between peripherals, I think a lot of it is going to be just category cable now. We've got to get used to splicing, RJ45s, crimping and cutting and. It's a skill I've got.
Well, that is from being an electrical engineer way back when. Yeah, like at least you can do it. Actually, that's one thing that you usually do see, and I don't know. I'll answer it tomorrow on the next podcast. Usually, there is one of the booths in one of the halls that's trying to test you on crimping an RJ45 or something.
Really?
Yeah. Well, in the past I've seen it. What's that? I believe it's at ISC. Yeah.
Impossible. I'm aloof to testing. I've never taken my CTS. I've never taken anything else. It's like, no. If you're not going to give me an honorary degree, I don't want it.
Dave, there's still time. Dave Labuscus, there's still time to give him an honorary CTS.
I ran into David, actually the first person that I saw walking into the halls on Monday before it was open, and congratulated him on his announcement of his retirement. So he's
here till the end of the year. Yes, I did also say that I have to get Dave on a show. I also said, you promised me that you would get to Ireland in your tenure of Avixa. So there you go, Dave. You better.
Are you saying he says things that aren't true? Oh my God! No.
We'll leave it on that note. David, thank you for joining us on All Things TechIE Podcast. We're here at ISE 2026 at the FIRA. There's going to be this show and a couple of other shows. I will be with Simon Lang tomorrow, and then on Thursday afternoon we will be talking about the best of ISE, because my flight is early on Friday. Yeah. You're the same?
I'm early Friday. I don't stay for the last day.
Yes, yeah. Hopefully, it felt a bit quiet today, but I can imagine that the numbers are going to increase tomorrow.
We'll
Wednesday is always the busy day.
It's always the same. It's quieter in the places you don't want to be, and in the places where you do want to be, you're pushing through the crowd.
Yes. And we'll have an early breakfast as well. For me, Justin Dawson, and Dave, thank you for joining us.